Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, I have a very special guest, returning guest. His name is Sean McCann. Last name is spelled McCann. And we talked about 3 weeks ago about a movie, an occult movie that I've researched, and he's also researched, titled The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp. And I've covered that in my documentary, Occult Hollywood. You can see that on Vimeo. I'll put the link to that film in there. But today we're going to talk about another very important, influential film made in 1999 by Stanley Kubrick, titled Eyes Wide Shut. And there's so much in this film. They really packed in so many overlaying themes and subject matter. And the timing was really incredible. And I think it was the longest film shoot in history, Eyes Wide Shut. It was 400 days. So they spent forever filming it. We're going to try to do a multimedia presentation, but I know about this film. I know about Traum Novel, which it was based on.
Yes.
Was the contemporary of Sigmund Freud. His name was Arthur Schnitzler, and I've read through it. It's very much like the film, very sexually charged. And Schnitzler was kind of a weirdo. He was a lot like Freud, actually. I'll put a picture of him up here right now. If you're looking on YouTube, this is Arthur, and his was called Dream Story. But Schnitzler, his personal life, like he recorded all of his sexual, involvement, and he was just really very much a lot like the film was involved. But Schnitzler was a contemporary of Freud and just kind of a weird dude. But one of the interesting finds that I had when I was researching Crowley is Crowley was in this magazine writing in the United States called The International. And he wrote for Fatherland and The International. But this is actually really one of the fascinating things on the cover of The International. If you can see here, there's all kinds of loaded things you can see on here. The International price, 15 cents, was published August 1917. But you see Flowers by Arthur Schnitzler. And then you see Fellow d'Essai by Aleister Crowley right there with the swastika. And then The Revival of Magic by the Master Therion, who was Aleister Crowley as well, writing under a pseudonym. And Lewis Wilkinson was one of Crowley's compatriots as well. So it's just an interesting research find going back to Arthur Schnitzler. And I mean, people know this movie because of the infamous kind of occult sequence in it, the elite occult sequence, the occult ritual. And but there's a lot more going on in this film than just that. It's super occult. There's all kinds of occult symbology in the film, some known, some unknown. But I think it was released July 16, 1999. So it's in those other occult themed films like we talked about last time, which was The Ninth Gate, but also Fight Club and the one by with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, which is
right. The End of Days.
Yeah, End of Days. So those were all 1999. It's actually probably more than that. Also, there's just suspicious stuff about this film because Kubrick died, I think, after this. So he passed away. My understanding is that this edit that was made for the public also was not his edit. He always wanted kind of directorial control. And the original people, maybe Sean knows more about that than I do. But hold on just a second. Okay. I also did another, I put it up on my podcast. I did an interview with James Fenwick titled Stanley Kubrick Produces. So this will be in a sequence of kind of Stanley Kubrick themed subject matter and films. But yeah, there's a lot of real things involved in this. There's just so much here. The Rothschild mansion, German Jewish themes. I mean, it just goes on and on. They spent a lot of time and did a lot of thinking when they put this book together. But just let me know when you're ready, Sean. I know you're working on something else, but
yeah, I was trying to upload my photos. I'm sorry to the audience. I had them saved as PNG instead of JPEG, and for some reason this StreamYard doesn't like me to upload. And I even tried to upload the JPEGs; it doesn't allow it. So I'm sending you a link to a WeTransfer, which takes like a large file. And if it works, maybe you can open it. If not, we can just talk through it. We're just talking out.
Send it over here. What where is it, by email?
Yeah, I'm going to put the link here in the chat of the StreamYard, and then you can open it with your browser. It'll take a couple minutes to download. But
for people, I mean, how did you become interested in this particular film?
Well, I'm a photographer. Growing, like, most of my adult years have been focused on photography and the art of photography, and like that's really where I get my jollies, is looking at photographs. And Kubrick is a photographer. He started as a photographer as a teenager. His father taught him how to use a camera. They had a dark room in their house, and that, like, learning photography and learning chess, his father taught him how to play chess as well, really influenced his entire life for the rest of his life. And as a teenager, he was hired by Look magazine, and there was one photograph which got him this job at Look magazine, and it was a newsstand where there was a sad newspaper seller, and the newspaper said FDR dies, and that is a famous photograph by Kubrick. Because of that, they were like, "You're hired," because it's so emotional and emotive, and it's compositionally perfect. And he did that when he was still a kid. And so, like, they, as working at the magazine, he learned and grew. And then he eventually, photography is still photograph, and films are just lots of still photographs all lined up. So it really is not, there it is. Right. Exactly. Thank you. That photograph there is what got him his job. That's what started his whole career. That image there, Roosevelt died. And so me being a lover of photography, and I've always, I always loved movies too. I'm always watching movies. And so as I learned more about photography, I'm watching Kubrick, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like, every shot is amazing, every frame. And so it just, my love grew and grew. And over the years, I've had these movies, and I've just watched them over and over again. And Eyes Wide Shut, it became extremely interesting to me once I started to understand the reality of satanic ritual abuse and the nature of occultism and the dark elite. Well, they're not really elite, you know what I mean, but the dark overlords that rule our world, and what how they think and what they do. And I see that this Eyes Wide Shut is a revelation of that, where I believe Kubrick was an artist who was hired for his talent. He didn't grow up in these families where he was abused as a child, and then, ceremonial magic where they, abuse and they traumatize the brain. They were using, he was just a talent that they took advantage of as best they could. And he did have rights where he owned where he would do the final edit of his films. He worked that out in the beginning of his career.
And sorry to interrupt, but if you listen and read the book, Stanley Kubrick Producers, it's a different angle on his career, but he was a very savvy negotiator, very intelligent from the very beginning when he was raising money from family members to make his earlier films.
Yes.
But he was always trying to get the best deals behind the scene. And that was a part of, he really was a filmmaker and producer.
Right.
And some people have critiqued him because his meddling in the back, not meddling, his involvement in the day-to-day production element.
Yeah.
Some people argue took away from his creative output. So.
He can do everything. He can do the lighting, he can do the editing. Like, they're just there to help him, really. I mean,
he really is an auteur. He knew it all.
Right. Yeah. And he was autodidactic. He learned it all himself. And he wanted to be thrifty. I mean, he was very consciously minded of the cost and what it takes to create and put it all together. So the way that he set it up so that he had the most time for filming. And you know, a lot of the movies back then, they would spend all this money on the sets and the costumes and the makeup and all that, and he would really focus on the filming and the time that it takes, because he wanted to allow for there to be as much film as possible. He said, there was a quote I heard him where he said that someone was describing his opinion, and they said it's funny that the cheapest thing in making a movie is actually filming it. You know, all the actors cost money, everything else costs money, but the cheapest thing is actually capturing the film. And he says, isn't it funny that everybody spends all this money setting up this huge set and all this makeup, and then they take 3 or 4 shots, 3 or 4 takes, and they're all right, we're done. He says that's crazy. So he, like you said, it's the Eyes Wide Shut was the longest filming of any film. It broke records, and that's because he wants to allow for there to be happy accidents, and then he can incorporate those into the final. And if he pushes his actors really hard. And Wendy from The Shining was crying so much because she was being yelled at by Kubrick the whole time.
The guy who was supposed to play what was his name? The main Ziegler, the guy quit. He was like, wait, right. He's done. Right. He was done with Kubrick. He said, what's the point of me walking through the door 5 times? So I forgot what his name was. Was it
Keitel? Was it Harvey Keitel?
Yeah, Harvey Keitel was supposed to play the Ziegler character.
Right. But I mean, I forget the guy that did play Ziegler.
It was he was a director as well.
He's a director too. Yes.
He was.
Everybody, like, I'm sorry, I don't know. Everybody listening already knows, and they're all like, "Why don't you know?"
it'll come to me. It's
but that he revered Kubrick, and he loved Kubrick, and he would do anything to be working with Kubrick, and he's so thankful. Whereas Harvey Keitel has an ego, and whatever. You know, most actors at that point were like very happy to work with Kubrick.
Sidney Pollack.
Sidney Pollack. Thank you. Yes. And he's great. He did an amazing job. I don't think Keitel would have been able to do a better job than Sidney Pollack. And so Sidney Pollack describes how Kubrick would. There was a documentary film called Kubrick's Last Film, and I had it in my podcast. I took clips from it, where Sidney Pollack is describing Kubrick's method of filming. And he'll just, he'll run it through again and again. And then he has not film, but videotape. He shoots everything with videotape first. He doesn't even run the film. And then he sits down with the actors and he says, I like this, what you did here. And I like that, keep doing that. He's not telling them specifically, like, tap on the ball, on the pool table with the ball. But when that stuff occurs, it triggers in his mind, oh yeah, that fits, and then he uses it. So that's how he achieves all of these synchronistic moments in the film, which seem almost they're uncanny. Like in The Shining, you'll see these moments where everything fits, and they'll talk about in Room 237, the documentary, where the Calumet cans were positioned just so that you could read the word, and then you think about what the word is. It's a peace pipe, it's like a peace meeting between, and then that relates to the story as we're watching, so these little elements fit together to create a more cohesive piece. Nothing in the shot is random. Because of his photography skills, he sees the whole frame, and he thinks about exactly everything. So as we go through, I'll send those to you now.
Okay. But you just see that progression through his films. So Eyes Wide Shut is meticulous. Like everything it seems intentional. There's nothing in the background. It's clearly a set piece in a lot of those places, whether not in the main mansion, but even on those streets, it's clearly like a film lot, right? So,
the streets are a soundstage. And there's like one clip where they run like a green screen behind Bill Harford, and that is it's just to establish that he's walking through the red light district of New York, and they get like a clip of one of the pornographic shops, and so they put it behind him in a green screen so that it places the viewer in New York, but then the rest of it is all on a film stage. And there are some spots where he'll leave Gillespie's, which is this jazz bar, and then he gets in a taxi and he drives across town, and then when he gets out of the taxi, he's at Milich's Rainbow Fashions. But if you look in the reflection of the window, you see Gillespie's right behind him. Like, he didn't need to take a taxi. It's a soundstage, you know.
So he's playing around. Kubrick is deliberately playing around with time, with space, right?
Yeah, he did that in The Shining too. The way that everything is kind of. I mean, I suspect that with Eyes Wide Shut, he did that for cost purposes, because like you can only have so big of a soundstage. But you know, and we can talk more about Rainbow Fashions and so anyway,
there's a lot to talk about. I mean,
yeah. Do you want me? I can set up like the main gist of what.
Yeah.
So what?
Send me your images. I mean, I have tons of stuff too. I can show clips of the end. Okay, I see the link here.
Okay,
I can show clips of the end. I've got all kinds of screenshots.
Good. So I can. I even have the timestamps of what each screenshot is that I put in there. So like we can walk through with just the timestamp, but that might take a while for you to bring it up and to find that spot. It's easier to just click through. I tried to make it easy and have a bunch of images prepared. I'm sorry that this.
It's okay. You know,
yeah.
That happens.
So the main gist of Eyes Wide Shut, what Kubrick is telling us, is not just the elite are a bunch of perverts. You know, what he's really doing is telling us what the elite are doing when they're being perverted. Like, everybody knows they're a bunch of perverts, right? Everybody knows they use blackmail, and you know, we all know about Epstein and that whole thing. But Kubrick is actually showing us what is happening. It's kind of, you have to really look to see it, but it's all there. So basically, the opening shot, the very first opening shot of this film, is a photograph of, well, it's moving pictures, but it's a scene of Alice, the main character, Alice, and she is between two pillars, and she is disrobing from her black dress, and she lets it fall to the floor.
This is it right here, right?
Let's see.
Oh, I hold on. Let me show that. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Let me try this. This may actually kind of work, because I can actually pull up some of these. This is it right here, right? Is that the opening scene? Okay.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is indeed. And this actually, I learned that this was added to the film after Kubrick died, which is weird.
So there's the pillars, right? So very Masonic.
There's the pillars, exactly. The two pillars. And you'll see that she's standing across from a looking glass. She's across from the mirror, and that mirror has an open door. It's so like her name is Alice, and you can go through the looking glass, right? And if you see in the reflection, the curtains almost take the space of a person. There's empty shoes there at the bottom of the reflection, whereas her alter personality is standing there in those curtains. Like it's showing us there's other people. Like, so this is immediately when I look at this, I'm like, oh, Alice in Wonderland. Oh yeah, that's SRA programming. They use, the elite use that to layer in programs for satanic ritual abuse, trauma-based mind control.
I have all your pictures, so they're all working.
Good.
So you can
Beautiful. Yeah, you can see at the top 000037 is the timestamp, and I got a little okay. So okay, this is the opening shot. She's between the pillars, and she's Alice through the looking glass. And then if you see the two tennis rackets, the tennis rackets relate to courtly love. Like love is related to tennis because of the score, and it's played on a court between two people. You know that the stilettos show us what type of, like, it's sexy movie. I mean, it's a sexy story, and she is the goddess between the pillars. So clicking through, I guess. Let's see if you want to
go to dark. You want to go to Bill looking through here.
Yeah,
See,
we'll skip
next
over the
Bill.
naked one. Yeah, the next one is Bill.
I'm gonna skip the naked one.
Please. Yeah, I understand it's on YouTube. So the next one is Bill is in the dark. So she was illumined in the light between the pillars. Bill is in the dark, and he can't find his wallet. He doesn't understand. He's ignorant, and this is setting up his character. He is a
in the darkness, right? He starts off in the
ignorant.
darkness. Very good, right?
Yes.
Makes sense.
And let's see, moving along.
They're walking around. They don't know the babysitter's name.
Yes,
but it shows that they have kind of like upper middle class.
Yes,
kind of environment. He's a doctor, right? So he's not part of the elite.
So he doesn't know his babysitter's name. He doesn't even know the name of the person who's going to take care of his daughter. That is right in the very beginning. He's so ignorant to taking care of his family that this is going to play into the future. Like, he doesn't even understand what's going on. He's so self-absorbed. So that's a little hint at the future of what kind of person he is. The next one. Yeah, when we see Helena.
There's Helena right here. Note the mother's has red hair. Helena has red hair.
Yes. So that is related to the sacred or the Scarlet Woman. And that exactly relates. I will describe further. The Scarlet Woman is exactly related to this, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But if you see, Helena is wearing white butterfly wings. So this is showing the butterfly is related to the human soul, and it's related to SRA Monarch trauma-based mind control, because the soul goes through this treacherous torture, and then it comes out the other side as a butterfly, where they think this torture gives certain enhancements to the victim. They can torture them and cause them to have photographic memory, cause them to be not tired. They can program different things physically and mentally into these victims. So
the butterfly is the final stage of the larvae, pupae, and the butterfly. So it goes through that transformation, right?
Exactly.
Metamorphosis. Gotcha.
And the word monarch was chosen because the children of trauma-based mind control victims are predetermined. They're predisposed to dissociation. So the mother that has been abused will make a baby that will more readily dissociate. It's a genetic memory thing. And much like how monarch butterflies, it takes like 4 generations for them to get to Mexico from Canada. And how do they know where they're going? It's like genetic memory. So that's why they give it that name.
Wow, that's crazy.
So that's why they attack the children of the victims. So it's like a cycle. Like if you read Kathy O'Brien, they stole her kids. If you read Bryce Taylor, they stole her kids, and they use them in the cult just like they use the parents. So that is a hint as to what's going to happen to Helena in the future. If you understand SRA, then this movie makes total sense. So here,
it's incredible. This is all layered. There's layers on layers in this film. It's a lot about relationships, sexuality, occultism class. There's a lot of things going on. So,
Very
anyway,
much so. And other pieces of work are used to illustrate themes and ideas in this. Much like here, we see that she asks if she can stay up to see the Nutcracker. And if you know about the Nutcracker is Tchaikovsky's first opera or only opera. Well, anyway, it's Tchaikovsky is from the same place that Nabokov is from, the guy who wrote Lolita. It was played as a dual. It was played with another play at the same time. It was released as two. The first was the Nutcracker, and then the other play that it was released with was called Iolanta. And Iolanta is kind of reminiscent of Lolita, the way that it sounds. And Iolanta is about a maiden in a garden who this man stumbles upon and falls in love with, and she's blind, and like she doesn't know she's blind, and there's a lot to it, basically.
But it plays into the theme of Christmas. So they're playing the whole Christmas theme is throughout this whole film. Christmas and then not Christmas. And it's a fascinating backdrop because the Christmas theme's there, but there's no Christian theology or anything else in this film except for the representation. So it's almost like he's saying something about how artificial
yes, it's goddess worship.
Traditions are, so.
Right. So like the we'll get into that later. It's Inanna worship, and it's like Inanna, Ishtar, and we'll get into that when we get to the party.
We're almost there. I mean, they're gearing up to go to this party, right?
Yes. So they're leaving her to go to the party, and she asks to stay up to see the Nutcracker. And also about the Nutcracker, there's pedophilia laced into the film or into the story of the Nutcracker. Like the Nutcracker is about a pedophile uncle who gives a Nutcracker doll to his niece, and he's mad because she falls in love with the doll instead of him. And then she falls asleep. She gets whisked away to this magical land where dolls are people. They're alive dolls. And if you think about the ritual space, they're all wearing their masks in their robes. They are living dolls.
Wow.
So, and when
you themes overlap, wow, that's incredible.
Yes. Yeah. And when you go to Milich's shop later, he says, "Looks like alive, no?" And he's talking about the costumes and his mannequins. And it's like, again, these living dolls, you know? So she wants to stay up to watch the Nutcracker. And so that relates to maybe that's what in her mind, when she's in her altered state personality, and she's doing the rituals and she's being brought and traumatized, she dreams of being in this place where there are living dolls, right? So moving on, this is the next picture. So we have Alice and Bill entering the party, and on the wall behind Alice, I framed it so that it's right around her head, is the star of Ishtar. Ishtar, Inanna. Inanna is a Sumerian version. Ishtar is a Babylonian version of the same goddess. And Ishtar is huge. Ishtar is Venus, and it relates to the underworld. Like Inanna traveled into the underworld and then was brought up again out of the underworld. She was there for 3 days, much like the Jesus idea. And, it relates to the heavens and how the sun operates with the stars. And so all of the Lucifer, Venus, all of that stuff of today all relates to Inanna goddess worship of the past. So she is the queen of heaven. The first emperor that ever ruled an empire said that his name was Sargon of Akkad. He said that he got his power from An, or Anu, the sky god, and Inanna, That's where he derived his authority from. So, and she is the goddess of political power.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
So, and also, like, when worshiping her, you had ritual sex slaves or whatever, concubines.
Exactly.
So you'll see that theme through this whole.
So what the ritual of Inanna Ishtar, what it is it's called a Hyros Gamos. It's the sacred marriage. So what the people of the cult of Inanna would act out the sexual intercourse of Inanna and Dumuzid every springtime. And that's what Easter is. Ishtar, Easter, is about Tammuz being released from the underworld. He's doomed to the underworld for 6 months out of the year, just like the Persephone Demeter myth of the Greeks. It's the same, but for Mesopotamia, where it explains the seasons. And every year, Dumuzid is released from the underworld, and then when he consummate or fornicates with Inanna, that releases fertility on the land, and that is the reason spring happens according to their religion. So the high priestess of Inanna's cult would take on the role of Inanna, and the king of the land or whatever, or the high priest of the land, would in a ritual have sex together, and this would be the beginning of spring, basically.
Right. So you have the magical coming together, sex magic, that representation. And some people have said that, like, there's a building of energy up to that, and this whole film is one big building, because there's never any completion to the sexual act.
Right. And at the end, the last word that they do is they say, "Yeah, we should do this." I want. But the last word.
It's interesting because it's not, "Let's not make love," like what two married people might say to each other.
Right.
But it's part of the whole theme of the whole thing.
Exactly.
It's the theme of the whole, and it's a subtext. But once you decode that, the whole movie, it makes a lot more sense.
Right. Yes. So, I mean, as I'm learning more about SRA, I'm learning more about what the reality of what things are, and then I watch Kubrick, and I'm like, holy crap, this is all there. It's all there.
It's all
so there.
All the SRA stuff, all the mind control stuff, dissociation. It's all in this. It's in this film. Yeah. He did in 1999.
So you can see Ziegler is totally enamored with Alice, and then in the next shot,
bricklayer, by the way, German translation, bricklayer, Mason.
Really?
Yeah,
Mason.
They're telling him. You're telling him.
That's right away, interesting.
And well, later on, there's the spiral, the Masonic spiral staircase is right in the back. So with the statue of Psyche. So Kubrick again is putting it all in the frame, right?
Right.
Putting it all layered in the frame.
And it's the woman having intercourse with an angel, and they think, and they're in their mind, they think they're better than the rest of humanity. There's that whole social Darwinism idea where they think they are the angel class, and they reach down into the, so anyway,
they know they're better. They don't think they're better.
Yeah. They say they're better. I don't know if I agree.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So so now she's asking, do you know anyone here? She's checking to see if he even understands what's happening. She is his handler. She's like, do you even know why they bring us here? He's like, oh, I'm making jokes. His ego is like, oh, they love me. I'm here because I'm great. And so some of those later ones here are going to have some nudity. I'm going to warn you.
But I won't play the nudity, but it is interesting. Like, having these relations. Why are we here? Why does Ziegler invite us? There's all this mystery. Like, we don't belong here.
Exactly. And he's like, oh, well, I'm a servant. I do house calls. So that's, so basically she is the reason they are there. He thinks it's him, but and she's making sure that he doesn't even catch it.
Ziegler, that's the subtext. Ziegler is monitoring the Scarlet Woman /
Yes,
MK Ultra Slave.
right. Well, the Ziegler, I think that he just doesn't want to give up. He loves her so much. He just wants her all the time, and he wants her at his party because it's just like old times when she used to be at the party. Now, here you see,
right? It gets deeper because she says something really strange in this whole thing. We can get into that later, but she has a dream where she's at the cult ritual, but is never shown at the cult ritual. Sorry,
right?
So
and
I'm kind of getting ahead of you. Sorry.
There was a TV version of the Schnitzler book. I think it was Traum Novelle. Yeah, there was a TV version of Traum Novelle, and in that she was at the party. She was wearing a mask. The wife was at the party. Gotcha. So like that is kind of related. And I didn't get screenshots of that, but Kubrick made exact references to that version of Traum Novelle. Like she's reading from a green book, and like she, and then the green book is later in Eyes Wide Shut. It's like there are exact visual references, which I should have gotten. I didn't even think of that, but yeah. Anyway, so like Kubrick is weaving lots of different things in. He's taking the Nutcracker. He's taking the other renditions of
Alice in Wonderland, right?
Alice in Wonderland
theme.
Yes, and also Nightingale. We'll see later. Nightingale relates to the myth of Philomela, and where a woman is raped and tortured and wishes to turn into a nightingale, a bird, and anytime, even like in Shakespeare from the beginning of time, anytime an author uses the term nightingale or refers to nightingale, there you see this character's name is Nightingale. So
Nick Nightingale,
right, and he so a nightingale sings at night. It sings its most powerful song right before the dawn. And so like this, the nightingale sings a sorrowful lament because it's trying to tell everyone how it, like in the story of Philomela, she gets raped and tortured, and then her tongue is removed and her hands are removed, much like the Shakespeare play Titus Andronicus, and so that she can't tell anyone about her plight of what happened to her. And then she weaves a loom that tells the story in a piece of artwork, and her sister, who is the husband or the wife of this dude who raped her, it was like, oh my God, he did what? And then they murder his kid and then they serve it to him in soup. And so he gets so mad that he was like, had to eat his own kid, just like in Titus Andronicus. Shakespeare uses this too. It's an old story that's being rehashed. And so then he tries to kill these women. He's so mad, and they pray to the gods to turn them into birds. And Philomela turns into a nightingale, and her sister turns into I forget the other bird. But then every time anyone ever mentions nightingale, they think of this torture and rape and terrible story that happened to this young maiden. So it's a reference to that. So just having that in the story, and Kubrick, it was in the book. Like Kubrick didn't add the nightingale, it's already there, but he accentuates it. And then we see. So, okay, moving on. Next.
There's a lot there. I mean, this is like an aggregation of so many myths and backstories.
Yeah.
He's putting it very, very richly within the kind of mythological framework of the West. So.
Exactly. And thank you for allowing me to go through it.
Yeah, no, take your time.
It's just dumping on.
You can go for 2 hours. I don't care.
Awesome. This is great. So, so when she walks into the bar, immediately once she gets away from Bill, she goes and grabs a full glass of wine, champagne, and she guzzles the whole thing all at once. And then she walks to the bar, and then she holds the glass under her chin. So that is like, it's showing us that she's reverting back to her prior programming of party favor girl. So as we will see later, that there are plenty of young models that are just giving themselves to the people at the party, and Bill finds 2 of them. We'll see later.
I see that, right.
Yeah, so she is reverting to her prior programming. She's not with Bill anymore. She is by herself, and all of a sudden that kind of bubbles up again. And so she's standing there with her drink, and that's like an advertisement. She's like her face over the drink. So this is a gentleman at the party notices her.
But it's also symbolic in the occult. The women are likened to a chalice or
Yes.
this thing. So she's actually a symbolic representation. And
Right.
you can see the layman of OTO.
Good
It's
thinking.
the dove and the chalice. So there's some very clever stuff going on.
That's interesting. I didn't even think of that, but that makes a lot of sense. So he puts his glass down. He notices her, and he knows the protocol. He knows how to get her. There's a certain way of doing it to access her programming. So he knows how to use the party favors. So, because he's a regular at these parties, right? So he puts his drink down, and then the next shot.
Let's see if I can get this. Is this the one? I think he's putting his drink down here, and then he goes to this one. Right?
And then she notices the side of her eye. She can see what's going on, and then she puts her drink down in front of him. So that's like the next step, right? And I guess we can't really see. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So she puts her drink down, right. She puts her drink down in front. He's watching her do this action. And then we go to the next one.
He grabs the drink, right?
Right, exactly. He grabs the drink, and then he guzzles the whole thing all at once. And she says, "Oh, I think that's my glass." And you can skip to the next one. And he says, "Oh, I'm absolutely certain of it." He knows what he's doing. And she says, "Oh." And then as he finishes that guzzle, her face changes and she smiles. Like in the next one, you'll see. She gets a big smile on her face. And then all of a sudden, now she is linked to him with her programming. Now
like she just blinked, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like now she's his party favor now. You know, that's how the programming works. And then so now she's happy, and he says his name and he kisses her hand, blah blah blah. And he mentions he's Hungarian. I think that relates later to the Eastern European heraldic shields that we see later. And the Habsburgs are related. This is great. This one here. So he's asking her, have you ever read the Latin poet Ovid on the art of love? And if you see, Kubrick is such a genius. Look at the framing of this shot. Look at the light of the lights. There's a string that runs from his mouth to her ear. Like he's speaking magic spell to her in her ear. And if you understand about Ovid wrote he wrote Metamorphosis, which relates to butterflies.
Wow.
And it's, and Ovid also wrote The Art of Love is Ars Amatoria, which teaches people about the different pleasures of lovemaking and having love. The first two are to teach men how to get a woman, and the third one is for women to try different experiences. In the third one, it's suggested that old women try young and old lovers. Like
right, but it's for the elite, right? He wrote it for kind of a different class, so it wasn't for kind of illiterates. It was like a sophisticated,
right? It was for the
sex
elite.
manual almost.
Yes, exactly. And so basically, he's telling her in a roundabout way, "Hey, you should fornicate with old people too. I'm an old guy. Hey, guy, hey, let's
coming on strong." Yeah.
Exactly, coming on strong. And so she understands about, and then he says, "Oh, we can dance." She's like, "Oh, but I'm married." And he says, "Yeah, but we can dance, right?" And she's like, "Okay." And her programming wants her to be dancing with him, but she has other programming, which is she's the mother now instead of the maiden. So so there's that competing in her mind, and we'll see that later when they're dancing together. So he's okay. He says he has some friends in the art game. That is huge because we will see later that art plays a huge role in this movie.
It's a recurrent theme. You've got the statuaries, you've got
yes,
the masks are art, you've got the heraldry, you have the story of Vitaly, who Vitaly really is.
yeah,
So you have, like, he says he has friends in the art world. He's
yes,
saying something like an inside statement to her.
exactly.
It's
He's
not just
telling
casual commentary.
right, and he's telling us there's a game in the art, and if we pay attention to it, we can understand more, and it can be revealed more. So he's saying he can be of some help, and as he will be actually as we go along.
As it progresses, right, with the Ishtar in the back, so you can see this within
Yes,
this kind of like
Ishtar is
elite
like fire.
Ishtar, and what do you call it? Kind of like even as a ritualized event, yeah.
Right. So another thing about the cult of Inanna, there's the main intercourse between the priest and the priestess, but there's also a prostitution factor. So there are maidens who are given to the cult as before they're women, and so that they're pure. And then if you being a someone who's going to the Church of Inanna, if you pay money to the maidens that are there, you get to fornicate with them, and in so doing, it erases your sins. So it's basically, it pays for the church. It's how the church gets their money. So that's how they become powerful. That's how it becomes this big thing. That's
Catholic Church did the same thing.
Yeah, the indulgences, right?
Indulgences, right?
Yeah, and I mean, so basically, the women aren't allowed to say no. The women that are in the cult of Inanna, they aren't allowed to refuse. That's a sin if they say no to having sex. So they're all the whore of Babylon. That's what the whore of Babylon does. It takes all comers, right? That's why she's a whore. And also, the women aren't allowed to restrict their lovemaking to only one person. They have to give it to everybody. And it's like giving your kid to the priesthood to become a priest. It's like your family is happy to give, and it's a blessing on your family. And
it's crazy. And I mean, it goes right. So it goes right from her talking to her, and then it inverts, and these girls talking to Phil Herford, whatever his name is.
Yes, so we get to see she's acting just like them. Alice is all bubbly and sexual and enamored with the Hungarian, and that's the same way that these two women are being to Bill. And he just happened to find these women are just at the party hanging around, and they're this is how they interact with the males at the party. So she asks, "Do you know Nuala Windsor?" Her name is Windsor, right, just like the royal family of England. And then later, in the next slide, I think she says that she was at Rockefeller Plaza.
Right. So she throws in Windsor and Rockefellers right back.
Right. Right. Exactly. So that's telling us who they are. And then now this is the next.
Let me go back and see if I can find this Rockefeller one.
Okay, that one is 1047
00. There we go. Rockefeller. So that should be it.
Yeah. So she's doing a photo session. She's a model, and she works for Rockefeller, basically. So what we know about SRA is they will use these women as actresses, models. Look at Marilyn Monroe, look at Britney Spears. All of these the whole gamut. They're used as models in their prime the prime space of their life, while they're fertile, So then they're taking him to where the rainbow ends. And this is at 12 minutes and 21 seconds. So it's like, oh, wait, 21.
Which one am I at?
20,
I'm at the,
you're at
the right
21.
one. You
Oh,
want
that's
to go
right.
where the rainbow ends, right?
Yeah. And where the rainbow ends is it relates to the elite of New York in the early 1900s. There was this place called I forget, but it was where all of the harem, like all the rich people in New York lived, and it was people called it where the rainbow ends because that's where the gold was. But really, where the rainbow ends, there's no gold. The leprechaun is fooling you. There is not really any gold at the end of it. But anyway, where the rainbow ends, specifically that title, those words specifically are the title of a Christmas book from 1911, and it's an English book, which the English people would read it, and it would be like it would bolster their national pride, because one of the main characters was Saint something. Shit, I gotta find it in my notes. But he had like the Templar cross, the white with the red cross, and he would show up and save the day. But basically, in this book, it's about children that lose their parents. And where the rainbow ends is a book within the book that these characters, these children, read in this library, where there's a magic carpet, and they ride the magic carpet to the place where the rainbow ends to find lost loved ones. Where the rainbow ends is where you find lost loved ones. And that relates exactly to what's happening, because Helena is kidnapped at the end of this film.
Right.
So Helena
or she walks away willingly. I mean, it depends how you want to interpret that.
Right. They're programmed to do.
It's very important because right in the next scene, right, they walk by her abductors /
Exactly.
whatever.
Yes. And in Room 237, which is a documentary about Kubrick and finding interesting, things layered into Kubrick films, this was floated as one of the theories that the two gentlemen at the base of the stairs here, under this statue, are the same two gentlemen that are in the toy store at the end of the movie. And we've got screenshots of that too that we'll show. But they do look very similar.
I'm pretty sure it's them.
I'm pretty sure too, but I can't really. It's tough with the resolution. I need to have like better resolution of my film. But anyway, moving on. So Ziegler is pulling up. She's nude in the next one. You might not want to do this one for the YouTube. But if
he's going upstairs, he gets called upstairs by Ziegler. These guys are with their wives. Ziegler was with his wife earlier, right?
Right.
And then he's upstairs in front of nude artwork.
Yes, that we can talk about that one. So like we'll 001331 is just the painting. It's not the naked woman. So the 1331 full frame Paula 6 months on red. So the name of that painting, it was painted by Christiane Kubrick.
That was his wife.
Stanley's wife. Yes, she's a painter, and all the paintings in Bill and Alice's home are by Christiane, and the film or the painting here, that one is.
This is Sidney Pollock. I know which one. I'm not going to show it. It's too lurid.
Okay. So I'll describe it. It's full frame painting, and it's a naked pregnant woman on red pillows. So it's called Paula 6 months on red, and so the red relates to the naked woman in the chair right there under the painting. So it's like it's mirrored right there, and then it also relates to further in the movie. There's a red carpet where sex happens, and the maidens at that party are being impregnated. That is the idea. That's what is happening at the ritual. They're being impregnated. And in that shot where you're looking up and you see Ziegler's face in front of this painting, his lips are directly over where the pregnant woman, if Ziegler wasn't there, her vagina would be exposed. But instead, his head is there and his lips are where her vagina is. So that, in a sense, is saying that his lips are going to speak out what is the message that this painting is impregnated with, and later on in the billiard room, he kind of does speak it out, but it's veiled, and we'll see that later. So this shot here, he asks Bill if he can get her out of there, and Bill says that you should wait another hour, and he looks at his watch like, another hour. He repeats another hour, and he looks at his watch, and me being, just thinking, I wonder what would happen if I skipped it ahead exactly 1 hour. And if you skip it to 1 hour, 17 minutes and 49 seconds, that's the moment when Mandy at the ritual in the mask is kissing Bill in his mask. It's that. So Mandy on the couch right there.
It's Mandy, right?
Yeah, it is. It is Mandy. And Mandy's also the one in the mask. So this is telling us that the movie self-synchronizes with itself in 1 hour. And if you stop it like any of the important points, and then you skip it ahead 1 hour, it relates to what you're watching. It's crazy. So if you skip ahead 1 hour, you'll see the ritual scene. And then if you skip ahead another hour after that, it's Bill and Alice at the toy store, I think.
Wow, crazy.
So and there, it's all.
So he has all those very important things sequenced.
He calls them non-submersible units. So Kubrick is known for having a contempt for narrative. He doesn't. He's a photographer. He's making images, and he makes movies like a dream. And in your dreams, you remember these certain points, these non-submersible units, as he calls them, where they stay there, and they're liminal, and you can recall them, but the rest of it falls away under the subconscious. So the way the way he makes a film is he'll take 6 or 7 non-submersible units. And he links them together. And then, so this shot here, this is Alice and Helena at the breakfast table. And they have Bugs Bunny on the TV screen, and Bugs Bunny is reading from a green book. And if you look right in front of Helena, she's reflected in the cover of a green book. And on the cover, on the spine, it says How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Right. Helena is stolen. But that also relates to The Shining. There's a scene in the beginning of The Shining, and that's in the Shining file, if you wanted to bring that up.
Shining screenshots.
Yep.
So they're having dinner too, right?
They're having breakfast also. And they're at the breakfast table. And Mom is reading also, and you see they're at the breakfast table, and he's watching Bugs Bunny at this moment. You can hear him.
Doesn't he impersonate the rabbit during?
Yes, he does. And his nickname is Doc, because and
what's up, Doc?
Yes, exactly. So that ties this movie to Eyes Wide Shut. In that scene, it's tying Helena to Danny. So Danny is experiencing the same. And if you know about The Shining, you'll learn that it's really about child abuse and how alcoholism and pedophilia, really. She has this, when Wendy talks to the doctor, who's a psychiatrist, she's telling the story that they have prepared about how why, how he got hurt. And then after he got hurt, he has an imaginary friend that his personality split. Tony is another self of Danny,
Yeah, so he gets his consciousness split.
Exactly.
Crazy. And this book, Catcher in the Rye, is a notorious mind control book. All these guys have had it. Chapman has been reading it.
Yes.
So you can tell how much Kubrick knows. Like he knows
exactly. Yes.
It's really incredible. And there's a hint in that whole Shining that the dad is a stone cold pedophile. He's in one of the sequences, he's reading a men's porno mag, right?
Yes. Like Playgirl.
And right.
If you look up that exact copy of Playgirl, that issue, there's an article about pedophilia. It says like, why do parents want to have sex with their kids or some shit? It's like an article. And if we know about Playboy, Playboy is connected to Kinsey. Playboy's it's a whole. The entire thing was promoted and put into the consciousness of
by who? Rockefeller.
Exactly.
Who supported Kinsey? Rockefeller Foundation.
Exactly.
Baby. So it all comes back around.
Yes.
It just shows you how much Kubrick knew.
Exactly.
He was really sublime. Really smart.
That's great.
And then so it actually ties in here because it ties into this film. It shows how much Kubrick knew about pedophile symbolism, which you'll see at the end of this film, which is the teddy bear, right?
Yes, there's the teddy bear here. So that shows, and then in the end of at the toy store, we see that Helena has an affinity for teddy bears. And
just being in the toy store is the symbol of society. So the toy store finalizes and brings everything together that's in the whole film.
Yes. And we'll talk about that when we get to it because there's a bunch. But like, you know, Danny is attached to the teddy bear, and it's a pillow. It's like it's like for sleeping. It's not even a regular teddy bear, you know. So if we already understand The Shining.
When did The Shining come out? Do you remember what year that was? Offhand?
That was 81 or 2 or something. I'm not sure.
So it was much earlier than this. 1980.
Right.
So it was 20 years before. He had that in his mind. So
yeah. And after he did 2001: A Space Odyssey, he wanted to do Eyes Wide Shut. And it just took that long for him to get to it. And I think that because he was layering other things in with his other movies, I think he was making his tapestry.
I think you're right. Yeah.
You know, his entire career relates to itself. You know, it's a big chess game, and
he's not unique in that sense. But I think because he had such a wide, knowledgeable frame of reference, it plays out much different than any other kind of director.
Yes,
he's done multiple films, so he's got those things. And you can go back. I mean, we haven't got to Lolita, so you can see Lolita to Shining to Eyes Wide Shut. Pedophilia.
Right. Oh, yeah. It was after Lolita he wanted to do Eyes Wide Shut. Sorry, it wasn't 2001. After Lolita, he was going to do that. And Lolita, I mean, they were like, how can you make a movie about Lolita? Like, just him making a movie is such a big deal, you know? Okay, that's a good one here. This is Alice is literally grooming Helena. And if you look behind her hand in the drapery, they're upside down green stars. She's like right at the point where her hand is holding and she's grooming it into her hair is Satanism. It's the symbol of Satanism. And then if you look at there's a painting which looks almost to be painted by Helena. There's a panda bear on the wall. And if you know about extreme pedophilia, Panda is related to that because the extreme sodomy.
Don't have to get into the whole details, but
right.
It's really
it makes
brutal,
their eyes go black.
Super brutal. But they had that panda theme in the Pizzagate Instagram pages. I remember that. They they knew what it meant. It's so freaking sick.
Exactly. And just like in Lolita in the very beginning, he knows what ping pong tables are all about. He puts a ping pong table in the middle of this rich, ornate rich person's home.
It's out of place.
Yes,
it's out of place for a normal person.
Yes. And then somebody
else,
Right. And like I took a screenshot of that too, where he says, "Let's play Roman ping pong." So like it's really
It's
deep.
so this is so yeah, it's so sick. Man. Kubrick, yeah, man, having this stuff in here makes me think the rumors of Kubrick being a pedophile are more true.
Well, them. I mean,
Because this is pre-internet type stuff. This is
yes,
right at the blooming of beginning of the
I
internet.
think that
So
he
you would have
was.
had to have gotten that information.
I think he was witness to it,
Yeah.
and he knew about the information, and I think that he didn't agree with it, and that's why he's exposing it here, and I think that's why they killed him, because he is exposing it. And if you look at, I mean, after Lolita, maybe he takes his whole family and like he moves to England.
And lives like a hermit, kind of doesn't want to
He
leave.
lives like a hermit. Exactly. It's just him and his family alone in their house.
Yeah.
He talks on the phone with everybody. He's
Right.
constantly
But
on the
he's not
phone.
moving around very much and not
Exactly.
mixing with people. Everything's brought
No.
into him. He
And
doesn't
all
do
of
too
his
much.
films are filmed in London. Like he moved there so that he could still make films and not be in Hollywood, because Hollywood is such a evil, debaucherous hell pit.
Dude, there's a lot of stuff like this going on in Hollywood. A lot of
Yes.
programming and a lot of
Oh yeah.
things.
Yeah. Like Hollywood is built for that. Like if you look at Disney World, Disneyland, it's built for SRA programming and torturing children. On the
It's so
off
real,
hours,
dude.
they
Yeah,
bring the
it's so real.
children in. If you read Bryce Taylor, like
Well, if you
it,
accept those stories are true,
yes.
however, there's a lot of weird. These people are sick, man.
Right, they are.
So
Yeah.
they think totally different, and that's what the inside of this film is. Is you're
Exactly.
looking at a completely different type of person.
Mentality.
Yeah,
Mentation.
mentality is totally different.
Right.
The elite in the world are totally different. They have a completely different culture than the workday people.
Exactly.
And she's just looking in mirrors the whole time. So Alice is looking through the mirrors just the whole movie.
Yeah.
Reflection. She's obsessed with her reflection.
In the looking glass. And if you read like Fritz Springmeier will teach us that mirrors are used in programming. And like even Bryce Taylor and stuff, they'll tell you that they'll spin the victim, the child, like a bunch. They'll do spinning, and then they'll make the kid look at a mirror and say, "I'm Sharon now. This is Sharon," when it's really Alice or something. And it's like it brings up the altar of the other. So mirrors can be used by the abused individual to bring up altars, and it could be. I just wanted to show how gross that cannabis was, man. It's just the worst. But so cannabis thins the veils. Like that, we've learned from like that's why cannabis is illegal. That's the elite hate cannabis. So when a victim of SRA programming smokes cannabis, it makes the walls between the partitions between the minds become thinner, and then the subconscious can bubble out things that are meant to be held down. So that smoking cannabis is like the worst sin for a SRA victim. The owners of the victims definitely do not want them smoking cannabis. It's because it
Breaks
loosens
down kind of
yes
the barriers
programming.
that are built up to programming, right?
Exactly. Yes. So then she's asking about those two girls because she knows what those girls are. They're party favors. She knows that they're hookers, and it's the cult of Inanna with all the prostitutes, and they're making fertility. Like it's Christmas is the beginning of the sun. It's like, so they're adding to that fertility. So they do it every year, and also the Nutcracker is a Christmas play, which is always played at Christmas. And and I forgot to say earlier about how Christmas, the fact that the Nutcracker has children in the play, and it's the first or opera or musical or whatever that has children. So all of the ballet schools use this, the Nutcracker. And so in doing that, like they put on this presentation of the Nutcracker, and they have and then the pedophiles that work at these ballet schools have all of these moments alone with these kids where they can, and that's the same as Hollywood. Like if you look at any of the Disney Channel TV shows, they got all these extras that are all running through that are basically victims for the people that are on the set. And some of those shows on the Disney Channel are only there for the excuse to have pedophilia. And the more you learn about it, the more you
learn
see.
about it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like
some of those shows, they were just all freaking pedophiles, man. That's why they were in there. And they put in really dark sexual humor into some of those shows,
it's
like
gross.
that the kids would not know about, but the adults would.
Yeah.
So really sick stuff. And one of those main guys on a plane to Pedophile Island, Epstein's Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's a rumor. I think that Dan Schneider was rumored to be involved in all kinds of nasty stuff. They shut down his Nickelodeon. I don't think it was Disney, but there were rumors about that guy, and all those shows were dark. And he was supposedly on one of the planes to Epstein Island.
That makes total sense. Yeah. And by chance,
this stuff is real. This stuff is real. This is just what the average person doesn't see.
Exactly.
But it's still happening.
And you just said the word Nickelodeon. Do you know what that is? Do you know what a Nickelodeon is?
I thought it was like some kind of machine or something like that.
Yes, it's a machine. It's a booth. It's a jerk-off booth where you go in and you pay a nickel. It's a Nickelodeon. You put the nickel in, and it it's like a window, and the curtain goes up when you put the nickel in, and there's a naked woman on the other side. And it's a private place for you to beat your meat or whatever. And then
it wasn't originally, but it became a peep show machine.
Oh,
earliest films that showed peep show machines protecting vaudeville theaters, other live acts.
So it's known for being a peep show machine. And then what is Nickelodeon television? It's a peep show machine for pedophiles, and the kids are getting slimed, with like goo, and it's really sick. It's really sick. Yeah. So I mean, anyway, so that's So let's keep going.
So there's let's go.
So they have this argument, and he learns about how she wants to make him jealous, and then that like.
But that's how it all starts. So his journey is about her love, sex life, or whatever, and that sends him on his own, dreamland journey through a bunch of different people, right?
Exactly. That's where he steps off. It gives him that desire in himself, where and all the viewers, the regular viewers that are in marital relationships can all relate that maybe there was this time when you maybe thought or you could, or like you want to get back at somebody, or that's how all of the regular viewers can relate to this film, and it's just a story of a couple who is having a rocky patch, and it's just understanding the dreams and the desires, but there's obviously there's more to it.
It's part of it,
it
right?
Is.
The Fidelio,
the exoteric.
The theme of right. It's not. It's the exoteric, the top surface,
right?
Is the story about infidelity, Fidelio,
right?
And then the occult thing, but there's a lot. Yeah,
but Fidelio itself, if you look at Fidelio was Beethoven's only opera, and that relates to Clockwork Orange. Ludwig van Beethoven was a huge element in Clockwork Orange, so that brings all those elements in of the programming, and so. But also Fidelio was commissioned by the same person who commissioned the Magic Flute by Mozart. So it's kind of an extension of that, Masonic revelations. Exactly. And Fidelio, what happens is there's an anarchist named Florestan who is kept as a political prisoner. And then his wife dresses up as a man guard to go into this prison to set him free. And if you think about it, if you loosely think about the themes, that relates to Ishtar, who goes into the underworld to release Tammuz. And it's like the same story kind of, and the same thing where Mandy goes to the ritual space. She's like down in the underworld, and she releases Bill from his certain death. That, you know, it's basically folding in Fidelio, and it folds in you know, these other elements like of Inanna as well. This is the same story, just told in a different way. You know, this is his version of telling the goddess myth of going down in the underworld. And it's also a description of the life span of all of these whores for the elite. You know, we get to see Helena is the baby, you know, 7 years old. And then we see Lily Sobieski is the pubescent one who is being used as a prostitute. And then we see the hookers at the party, or the, you know, the models. And then here, this hooker Domino is another one. I think she's in the cult too, but that isn't really,
Right.
it's
It's
just
hinted
alluded
at.
to.
It's not over. Yeah.
Right. And so these
Domino,
and then,
by the way, is another name for the masks, right? So the masks that they
oh,
use. So
right.
she's like a mask too.
And
So
it's
she placing her name as Domino means that she might be one of the masked.
she has masks on the walls of her bedroom.
Yes.
She has tribal masks, like African tribal masks. And if you, just before we get off of this one, you'll see that her jacket is the Masonic square and compass. If she's zipped up, there would be the square going up, and then the compass coming down from her neck, that blue line. So that isn't that, I learned that online. That one isn't my revelation, but I just wanted to show it that's true. It's there. So
crazy.
she's branded with masonry. And then in the next shot, she's her head is framed.
These are the masks.
Yes, the masks. The head is framed within a mirror, and she's got masks all up on her walls.
Wow. So she's like a witch in a mirror. Wow. That's so crazy.
And like, I didn't get
she
a
has
screenshot.
A witch broom. Is that a witch? I don't know what that is.
It looks like, it looks like a rose, like a glass rose, and that could be Rosicrucianism. I mean, I didn't get a screenshot, but when he goes to the other wall, there's another mirror with one candle in front of it, like a candle being burned in front of a mirror. That might be more ritual, who knows? So skip ahead to the next one, and you'll see that she has a stuffed tiger on her bed. And that relates
to kitchen programming, right?
Well, it's what, say that again?
Kitchen programming?
Yeah, sex kitten, right?
Sex kitten.
Beta sex kitten programming. And later at the toy store, we'll see that is a heavy theme.
It's there, so it comes back. Yeah, yes. It's just like he's putting little things throughout the movie, and then it finds up at the end,
right,
at the Toy Story. It's all, and then that's kind of like the way it's perceived with Eyes Wide Shut, is that they're not fully realized concepts. It's just like their little kitty toys are cartoonish. So he cartoonizes everything that he had earlier.
Right. Yeah, and it's like a way of bringing back those themes from the non-submersible units. Okay, so this one is pretty esoteric. He's Bill is walking down the stairs, and it's like red walls, mirrors on both sides. So he's walking down into the mirror world, and above him, the lighting fixture is a tesseract. It's a double cube. So this behind him on the wall, on the ceiling, he's walking down under the tesseract, walking down into this realm. And the tesseract is a very satanic symbol. It is an extruded cube. So basically there's like a cube within another cube, and it's like a cage. It's perpetually held within by the outer cube. It kind of, the Satanists relate it to this reality in their Gnostic way of thinking, like they're kept in this prison of reality, but also it relates to how they apply it to the mind control of others. So somebody that, like, they'll use tesseract symbolism to describe the realm of their their mind control, their
Right. If you
influence.
control the mind, you control the body, hence the cube within a cube.
Right.
That's what it says.
And yes, like so you will see the Tesseract in a lot of places, like Polanski uses a Tesseract sometimes. Kubrick uses Tesseract. The band Tool has a 2-dimensional representation of the Tesseract on their drum kit. Like it's a very occult symbol. And the idea of the trapezoid, like a Tesseract, the inner square, the inner cube is being held in by the outer cube, and on every corner is a trapezoid holding it in, the trap. And the trapezoid again is a very satanic shape,
Symbol.
I guess, symbol. Yes. And like if you look into satanic orders, like there's the order of the trapezoid in the Church of Satan and stuff. So like these this relates to the mind control and to the, you know, the deeper levels of control of humanity. So like this is him stepping down into this world, and the red is like Malkuth, like the lowest and the lower chakra, the base down, you know, walking down from above. So that I just wanted to include that here.
Right. No, I mean, it's like symbol of hell. I mean, you could
Exactly.
Never going down the stairs. Yeah.
Yes. The next one is Fidelio.
We've already kind of talked about that.
We did kind of talk about it, and it relates to Kubrick, Clockwork Orange. And if you look in the Clockwork Orange screenshots, you will find the billiard table photograph, and that shows there's like a couple.
I got it. Let me get it.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Share screen.
Sorry, it's so hard. I wish I had.
No, I got it. It's all good.
Okay. So if you can see here, there's Beethoven playing on these speakers, and these speakers are on the billiard table, and he's playing with red billiard balls on the billiard table. He's like tossing them across.
Yeah, it's a snooker table, I think. Yeah, but
yeah, and if you look, and a snooker is to be snookered is like a term in English to be like,
conned,
you know,
worked.
yeah, conned, exactly. So the gentleman behind the table is looking at the artwork, and you see on the artwork is the maiden. I can't tell if that's Inanna, but maybe, you know, he's looking at the painting.
That's the bodyguard, right? That's the big tough bodyguard.
I believe so. They work for the guy at the table, right, who's the rich writer.
He got beat up by Alex DeLarge, right?
Right. And you see we have big speakers on both sides and the speaker on the billiard table. And that relates to the end scene of Eyes Wide Shut, where we have a red billiard table as opposed to green or cyan. Right. And then the Ziegler is speaking like he's a speaker at the billiard table. And then this painting, or the guy behind, is telling us to look at the paintings, to look at the framed images in Eyes Wide Shut in the billiard room. So like these non-submersible units, while you're watching Eyes Wide Shut, you might think of this scene from Clockwork Orange that he's already put in your mind 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
It's fantastic. So so that is where, so the Beethoven is like the power that sends Alex out the window once it makes him want to kill himself.
Right. But it's also what sends him into other stuff too. Like he has his relationship with women. He beats his friend when she's singing Beethoven, right?
Oh, right.
So Beethoven is very key to Clockwork.
And the government uses Beethoven, I think his ninth or whatever, along with, and they play that along with the ultra violence on the screen while they're like dropping water in his eyes, and he's like held down, has to watch all the
Yeah, the
violence.
Ludovic method is what they called it.
Yeah,
The mind control.
Ludovico.
So yeah, so he's like he's keyed into this whole
Exactly.
coercive control, mind control theme.
Totally.
He knows it all the way back to Clockwork Orange before
Yes.
The Shining.
Exactly. Yes. And so I mean from Lolita, of course, like because he's friends with Arthur C. Clarke,
Right.
and that he got, that guy's a famous pedophile, and he moved to Sri Lanka so that he could do that to little boys,
You
So
can have a lot of those stories were suppressed. So if
yeah,
you get my book, Children of the Beast, if you're listening, you can go. I had saved all of those things where he admits to being at a pool, a ping pong place, paying kids, and that was his thing. That's why he
exactly.
was there. You could have access.
Yeah, there is actually, I have a if we could share screens, I could show you, but Arthur C. Clarke used to have a show called Amazing Stories or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
where he would talk about like ancient aliens, basically.
right.
And there's one episode where he opens, I think it's like episode number 9 of the first season. He opens the show with him playing ping pong with a little, like an 18-year-old Sri Lankan boy.
Wow.
And he says, "This is my partner."
Wow. So he's doing the inside joke too.
Dude,
Wow. See,
it's
they
like,
all have these inside jokes.
if
Wow.
you look at I think it was on either the Occult Rejects or New York Patriots show. I did an episode where I explained that, I showed that clip, and there's at 17 minutes exactly, he's standing, and you can see behind him that on a checkerboard pathway in the
Get
distance
out.
behind him, there's a guy standing with his arm like his chin on his arm, and like the rest of his hands in the square, so like it's an advertisement for Freemasons saying, "Hey, this place in Sri Lanka where I live, Colombo or whatever."
You can get lucky or whatever with little kids.
Yep. And he says, and like Arthur C. Clarke is in the front of the photograph, and he says, "There may be something very important behind this." And like, as before it clips to that, it goes, "Oh, well, reading the tea leaves." And then they clip to him, and he says, "There might be something very important behind this." And if you look directly behind him, you can see the guy. Oh, look at him playing ping pong. Gross.
He's playing ping pong with the guy. Yeah.
Yuck. Yeah, that's his favorite. Mm-hmm.
There are some more.
Oh,
A
nasty.
lot of him playing ping pong.
Yeah, I should have got some screenshots of that. Maybe the next episode we'll talk about that. I'll send it to you in an email, but I can send you that whole episode so you can see for yourself. Because and so like Arthur C. Clarke, he's friends with Arthur C. Clarke, and Christiane Kubrick, in interviews talks about how she and Stanley loved Arthur's books, and like they would always read science fiction, and they were voracious readers, and he was delighted to work with Arthur C. Clarke, and I'm sure that he was introduced to the proclivities that they have, and I can't say, I'm not him, but I don't think he did. I think that if he was gonna do that, he would have had a life where he would have stayed in Hollywood, where he would have had access to kids, and
Kubrick,
yeah, exactly. So
I
the
mean,
way
the only rumor that I had was from Crazy Days and Nights that he abused the girl who was Lolita.
right,
That he
and
was Humbert or whatever. Like
right, and
that's all I've got. That's the only thing that
Humbert, the guy that wrote Nabokov, the guy that wrote Lolita, he's a pedophile, and like he was abused.
Nabokov was a pedophile.
Yeah, like he pretty much I'm assuming because of every one of his books has that as a theme of loving young women, like little women. And in Lolita, she was like 12 or whatever. In the movie Lolita, she was like 16 because you couldn't have her be 12, So Kubrick took his liberties. But in Nabokov's books, it's a recurrent theme happening like in all of them. And he was abused as his uncle would abuse him, and like so there's that cycle of abuse. And but I forget where I brought it up. Nabokov, I
But
forgot
it
what you were
was to
talking about.
going back whether Kubrick was involved. He knew Clark. They wrote 2001 together, and he kind of shafted Clark and
Well,
didn't let him put it out of place. And if you read through Clark's books, they are full of occultism,
yes,
numerology, all the whole thing.
totally.
And actually, Kubrick puts numerology into his films. You can go back and
Yeah.
look at Doctor Strangelove. He puts 93 in there.
Mhm.
It's called Plothorium 93 or whatever. He
Oh,
adds
yeah.
it right at the end.
Yeah.
And
Well,
also in this film, Kubrick puts in a very clever 77, which ties into Crowley's Babylon, Babylon.
interesting.
And you can see that in my take on this film before yours. But yours is definitely I didn't cover any of the mind control. You have tons more information. But my take,
Thank you.
I kind of saw the Scarlet Woman, Mirrors, 77s, and they pulled that same stunt in Stranger Things. They do the same kind of funny verbal wordplay and stuff.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's because they want, like, they get a kick out of revealing it. Like, if they can layer it in and show the other ones that also know, it's like an inside joke almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That plus like the mens rea, like the rule of, if you tell them before you do it to them and they don't object, then that means that they like it. And that's their dark morality that they have. So this one is quick. It's just that he's showing his medical board card, but if you look in the window behind him, it says Eros, Eros, like the neon. So it's like that's his destination, like that's what his will is, Eros, and he's meeting this Milich guy. So we can skip through and go.
But no, it's interesting because if you watch his character, he's constantly bribing or manipulating people with money or his authority. Yes. So you kind of almost see this kind of carnality in his character. And
it's like, trust the doctor. I'm a doctor.
Trust the doctor, right?
Yeah. Right. There goes. Right. So he's using the mind control that everybody else has for his own benefit. Like, everybody is under the mind control of money. No, I don't want to do that. What if I give you $100? Right.
Okay. Doesn't he do that to the cabbie or something?
Exactly. So this picture is big. This guy is a costume shop. Like, why does he have such security? Look at this cage. And the alarm is going, meaner, and like they're entering, and he says, "Oh, you can never be too careful these days." Really? The guy's got shoes and coats. Why does he need that? Who's going to steal that? But really, if you think about his customers, his real customers, it all makes sense. Right. And when you learn more about Lily Sobieski further on, you'll see why, because he's not just a costume shop. So he asks, I need a tux, cloak, hood, and mask. And Milich, the guy that owns the shop, knows exactly what he's talking about. You can see in his eyes, he's like, oh, you're one of them?
You're going to the party, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Because he is connected with this same cult.
He knows
exactly. He works for them.
Right. Right.
And he says, looks like alive, huh? And these living dolls, right? He's getting the hood and mask to look like a living doll. So this is another reminiscent of the Nutcracker. And so this is great.
You get into mannequins, you get into the theme of how real we are as people, how real these people are, how mind control can just turn you into a robot, right?
Total slave.
Isn't that really what the mannequin represents?
Yes. Yeah. Total slave to do what you want with it. And earlier you showed the front of Milich's shop. It's number 10 on black. Like, the number of the building, Rainbow Fashions, is 10. And it looks like number 10 in England, the Prime Minister's house. It's on black with the white letters or the white numbers, number 10. And then you see like,
Downing Street, right?
Yeah. And that is like, and then there's a bunch of mannequins displayed in the window. They're a bunch of like empty headed, like just wearing costumes.
Right.
Yeah. So this,
whole rainbow theory. I mean, the rainbow theme goes over somewhere over the rainbow.
Over the rainbow. Yeah, and earlier there was the shop that's below the Rainbow Fashions. The name of that shop is Under the Rainbow, and the O is a spiral. So that goes with the
Wow.
pedophilia symbolism. So, and then Under the
Wow.
Rainbow makes you think of Over the Rainbow, makes you think of Wizard of Oz, and that relates to satanic ritual abuse programming.
Right.
So what you just showed now was the
The other rainbow.
the room. Yeah, there's another neon rainbow room. So like this room is glass room, and the it's under the rainbow, right? And then he says, "What is this?" He's looking at cheese pizza, CP,
Wow.
child
There it
porn.
is. There it is.
He's like
Like,
Kubrick
what is this?
teaching us.
But
Yeah.
the inside. Yeah, the
What is
inside
this?
things is
So like he's teaching the viewers like cheese pizza is pedophilia, right? So like I think she's covered up. Like
one of the interesting things, another theme in this film is they're asking people, would you mind? There's a word mind pops up all the time.
oh,
Would
yeah.
you mind this? Sandor asks her, he wouldn't mind if I danced with you.
Right.
Would you mind? So they're like really focused on kind of manipulating people. Like, you wouldn't mind, right? Like,
Exactly.
so you see
Everything,
that.
it's all a suggestion. That's how they work.
Yes.
They give you a suggestion and they make you want to take the suggestion, and like so.
And then the Japanese guys pop out, underwear, makeup.
Yep.
Lily
And
Sobieski.
yeah, Lily she's got a little bit of a nightgown on or whatever.
I'm not showing that.
Yeah, thank you. I can just say where we're at here. What is this cheese pizza? He says, she is a child, like, and it's, he's yelling at them, throwing stuff. He's very mad. And then she runs behind him and they're saying, this is preposterous. She invited us here. And then he says, can't you see she's deranged? And if you look at this door has two big locks. Slam, click. Why does it have glass walls and two big locks on the outside of the door?
Right. It doesn't make they're locked in a cage. It's so
exact,
crazy.
dude. This is a blackmail room. That's what it is. That Lily is the bait. She invites them there. Then he catches them there, and then they have to pay money to get free. It's a scheme. So now she's telling him, you need a cloak lined with ermine. Like, you only see that with the subtitles because she's just whispering, but an ermine cloak relates to royalty and like hot peerage of the royal family of Britain and Europe. Right. So it's reserved with the heraldic.
Very elite aristocrats.
Very elite.
But she's telling him it means two different things. It means that you need one, but you aren't one because you don't have one. Right. You're not an aristocrat.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. But she likes him, she's smiling at him. So basically that's called, the people used to call the ermine the Napoleon weasel, because like Napoleon's people would wear that and they would like, and you'd see it like it was the black and white, like on the fuzz, like the black and white fur. Right. So the linings of medieval coronation cloaks and some other garments were usually reserved for high-ranking peers and royalty. And like I said, the heraldic shields had ermine also to signify their royalty. So
so it meant royalty, right?
Exactly. So he dreamed of the naval officer. The naval officer relates to Scientology because
L. Ron Hubbard was
exactly. He was like crazy for naval stuff, and also it relates to the Where the Rainbow Ends book. One of the children in the book Where the Rainbow Ends, he wanted to grow up to be a naval officer. So, and now they're arriving at Somerton.
Interesting spelling too.
Exactly. It's like the Old English, the pagan summer, and spelling, summer. And Jay Parker, who is a generationally born victim of SRA, teaches us that when they create a town or a thing, they put TON at the end to signify their allegiance or like what it is. So like Boston, Arlington, that type of thing. So Somerton is denoting it's from the Aten, the cult of Aten, like the ruling cult that the sun worship cult, right? And then summer, summer is about fertility. They would have summer fertility rituals. So that's what he's coming up upon. And the big ornate gate and these people in tuxes. So, and then we'll see Mentmore Towers is the building that it's being held at.
Mentmore Towers, right? That was the one owned by the Rothschilds, right?
Yes, it was built by a Rothschild, and then it was sold later, and it became the first portrait gallery ever, and it was National Portrait Gallery of England, and that's this building here. And incidentally, it's the same building that they used in Eyes Wide, or in the Ninth Gate.
Wow, that's right.
Yeah,
so interesting choices.
Yeah, so it is, like I said, it's Rothschild. It's not owned by Rothschild anymore. So if you try to type into Google, is it a Rothschild mansion? The fact check will say, no, it's not. But if you look at its history, it actually was built by Rothschild and it was sold in the 1800s. So anyway, that's the exterior shot. And then moving on.
These things have there's just so much stuff here. The green man symbolism.
Right.
On the intro.
And then here, let's see
there's a swastika too in one of the doors. One of the doors has a swastika.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah,
man, I didn't see that. So there's going to be some nakedness we might have to skip through, but
see if I can find the swastika real quick.
Okay.
But yeah, no, there's just so much.
We don't have to show but so basically, I'll just talk through what was happening at the ritual. So like he enters the space, and the women they genuflect, they like bow down along with the red cloak character bows, and that's like they're bowing to the onlooking spirits. It's like they're welcoming the spirits.
Wow.
And then the red cloak bangs his staff, and then they all get naked, and that's like showing all the spirits, this is the vessels that you will be incorporating in. Wow. And then he takes a thurible, which is like an incense wafting tool, which like puts smoke out, like myrrh or frankincense or whatever they choose. You'll take some chunks of resin and light it on fire, or put chunks of resin on a burning coal, and that's what creates that smoke. And they waft it into churches, and Catholics will remember it from mass, but the occultists use it too. So it's used to consecrate a space or a thing, an object, to be used in a ceremony or ritual. So the red cloak character, the high priest, is walking in a Widdershins fashion, which is counterclockwise around the circle, and he's swinging the thurible on all these naked women, and he's consecrating them for use in the ritual. He's putting smoke on all of them.
Right. Yeah, there's 11 of them too.
Yeah, right. So there's another magic number.
You can count that. So.
Right, and if so, that might be reminiscent of Crowley. Crowley loved
just the number of magic in general, but Crowley kind of integrated it into everything. Yeah.
Yes, and so like 11 is like the next level past 10. So this is a nice G-rated shot that we can see. He's blindfolded, so this is occultism. This is occulted to this guy,
right?
And
he has no idea what he's doing,
right? And like the red cloak character is swinging the thurible, and he's going around circumambulating in Widdershins, which is the left-hand path going counterclockwise around the circle. And so he consecrates them all, and then they all they take a step forward, and then they are made to kiss. One kisses the next, and their masks touch. And at the point where their masks touch, the camera lines up the thurible and the smoke is coming up from the kiss. So like consecrating the kiss. And then the kiss goes around in a Widdershins fashion too. Each one kisses the one to the right. So it goes around counterclockwise. And the camera is moving Widdershins around the circle on the outside when it's viewing this. So Widdershins is like working against nature. And I kind of spoke about that in the other show that we did, where a sundial, the shadow moves clockwise. So that is how the sun's movement is clockwise. So if you move anti the sun, then that's working against nature, against time, against the natural flow and order of the universe. And in a sense, that's satanic. And also necromancy uses Widdershins movements because it's working against the flow of nature to speak with spirits or the dead. And necromancy also uses low guttural tones like shamanism of the ancient days. And this song that's playing during the ritual is a low guttural groan. Right. And the chant that's being played is a Romanian chant being played backwards. The words that are being said in the Romanian chant are, "And God told his apprentices, I give you a command to pray to the Lord for the mercy, life, peace, health, salvation, the search, the leave, and the forgiveness of the signs of God's children, or of the sins of God's children. The ones that pray, they have the mercy, and they take good care of this holy place." That backwards would be the exact opposite of that sentiment. So this is not a holy place. This is an unholy place.
Right. So it's like saying the Lord's Prayer backwards or something.
Yes. So that, okay. So the women did the kiss, and then after they kiss, the red cloak tells them to go leave the circle, and then they choose a mate, and then they go and have intercourse to be inseminated. So that's what the ritual is. The maidens are being inseminated by the members of the elite that are in the crowd. And because they have masks, and after the first one is chosen, then she goes and it's just orgy and has it with everybody. And that way, no one is the father. No one has to take responsibility for the baby, and that way they don't have any love for the kid. It can be anonymous. So these women they choose their mate, and then that mate has the most chance of conceiving a child, right? So that is using synchronicity and allowing for the spirit world to affect, like, who do you choose and what, you know what I mean? So like these spirits that were just invited into the vessels of these women, then they become corporeal through the insemination, and then these women are going to have babies that are more susceptible to dissociation, more apt to dissociate. So it all falls into the plan. They want to keep these babies for the next round of maidens that come along.
Wow. So they're just keeping the whole sex cult going.
Exactly. Like the elite rich, they can't just take any hooker off the street, because that hooker will tell the secrets, will expose them, will do all these things. So they have to breed their own from conception, and they breed beta sex slaves, which are total mind controlled slaves, which don't even know consciously that they were at the ritual. They might have a dream and remember, kind of like what Alice does.
And that's what Alice has. She has that dream.
Exactly.
She had all the sex with her. So she was one of them.
Exactly. She was one of them. And that's why in the very first shot, she drops her black robe just like they do at the ritual. She's just an older version of them. And she's now that she was impregnated at the ritual, then now she is mother, and that's her new programming to raise the butterfly for them to steal later when the butterfly becomes old enough. So it's like it's just a cycle. Like they basically Alice was impregnated at a ritual herself, and then she chose Bill to be the husband and keep a family. You know, she convinced Bill that it's his daughter, so Bill raises it with love, and they have this home that and then so it's basically like the bird that puts one of its eggs in a different bird's nest, and it's like they Bill's home is just a warm place to raise their butterfly until they're ready to harvest it. And that's what happens at the end of the film. They take Helena. They take her away.
Right. She's done.
Yeah. She's
done at the toy store. Just another toy, right? Toy.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'll get into that too.
Well, we're like at 2 hours, man.
Oh, man.
I mean, I think we should just do a part 2.
Can we?
Yeah, because there's so much more.
That'd be great.
We haven't even got through all the ritual. I'll find my stuff too. Like I have this one. Watch this. This is a good one. This is one I have to play, but the 77 where they're screwing around. Yeah, I have to like turn off my earbuds. But let's wrap it up. Do you want to do another one next month? Do you have time? Same time?
Yeah, I can do next month, next week, whatever.
We'll run it back. Where's your contact info if people want to reach out to you, social media, stuff like
that? You can find everything that I do at onegreatworknetwork.com, and I'm under the creators section. There I have a page where I put like all of my creative works. I did a 3-hour talk about Eyes Wide Shut called Occult Kubrick and the Butterfly Net. And that is, it's available. You can find it on onegreatworknetwork.com. Just got to scroll down. You can also find me at Wake the Dead. I have a podcast, Wake the Dead.
I'll put that in the show notes.
Thank you. Also, I sell T-shirts. I make anarchist designs and photography, like fine art photography on the T-shirts. You can find that at storefrontier.com/wake the dead.
If you send me that link on the email, I'll do it. So send me your links. So it's again onegreatwork.com.
One Great Work Network.
The Dead podcast, and then a shirt.
Yes. So and on the One Great Work Network, you'll find an email button. You can click that, email me, or on the Anchor, which hosts my podcast, Wake the Dead. There's a way to email me there too. So I love to hear from people and like hear what they have to say, or any I like talking to people. I'm glad that people are listening, and I appreciate you having me on the show. Thank you so much.
I mean, this is so super informative. I learned a lot. Like there's a lot of subtle things in this. Like you can walk right back. Like I pick up little pieces from all kinds of different people. So awesome. Again, it's Sean McCann, Wake the Dead podcast. Thanks for your time.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, I gotta run now.